Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD. This is Kyle Autry, and this is the Back in Time podcast. However, I do not have my normal co-host, Justin DeSandro, because this is a solo one-on-one interview with the creator, writer, director of Ghostbusters Station 6 TV Show. The pilot episode is now up on YouTube. Go over there, check it out. Just type in Ghostbusters Station 6 into the search bar. You should be able to find it very easy. Hit that subscribe button. There is a plan to have more episodes. I know they're going to be doing some things coming up to try and get the funding to make that happen. So check that out. This is a really fun interview. We talk about his TV show, how it came to fruition, the casting process, the process of just making the entire episode. And then we get into some original Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and the Ghostbusters reboot from last year. And we even talk a little bit about Ghostheads and Real Ghostbusters and the old proton packs that a lot of us had back in the 1989, 1990 time when those were popular. And we just have a blast just nerding out and just talking Ghostbusters. So while I have your ear for a minute, please hit the subscribe button on our channel on iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. That will make sure that every episode that we upload automatically gets downloaded to your device, so you never miss an episode. It's also the best way to really help support the podcast. While you're there, leave us a 5-star rating, and then also write a quick little review about what you love about the show. And by you sharing the experience, that goes a long way in helping us continue to grow and get new listeners, new sponsors. And, on that topic, you can head over to our website, backintimepod.wordpress.com. We have an Amazon store where you can check out some Blu-rays, DVDs, t-shirts, hoodies, anything toys related, a bunch of stuff from the movies that we've reviewed so far. And you can bet your butt there's going to be some Ghostbuster stuff on there after this episode. Again, cruise on over to backintimepod.wordpress.com, find the Amazon store button, click on it, check it out. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help support the podcast. Now, on to the interview, and we're talking everything Ghostbusters with Christopher Tomlinson from Ghostbusters Station 6. All right, welcome to the Back in Time podcast. We have a special episode today, and we are joined by the writer, director of Ghostbusters Station 6, Christopher Tomlinson. Chris, what's happening, man?
What's up, Kyle? Good to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on. We've been emailing back and forth for a little while, and now we get to actually talk face-to-face through the power of Skype.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
and
awesome.
Here's what's crazy about this whole thing, Ghostbusters, it just unifies, man. Like, here we are. You're in Indiana. I'm in California. We have one subject to talk about, and it's just like kindred spirits already automatically, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I want to start by just going right into the web series. So, you were gracious enough to send me a little sneak peek, and since then I've gone back and watched it twice. My 4-year-old son, I actually have a photo I was going to send you of him watching it on his iPad.
Oh, awesome.
And he wouldn't let me join him, so he moved off into his own little space so he could watch it. How cool is that,
cute.
right? So, it looks like it's doing well on YouTube, but just give me some background. How did you get into this? Where did it start?
Shoot. Well, Ghostbusters, I've loved it since I was 2, so that's the way background, but we'll get back. We'll get to that soon. But Ghostbusters Station 6 actually, it started off as I wanted to do a short film and make an excuse to make a proton pack. that was purely my only reason. I wanted to make a proton pack, and I couldn't justify the cost without like, hey, I got a bunch of friends, let's go make a short film, make it Ghostbusters, go have fun. But I'm going to be real honest, the story sucked. And it was just really about that proton pack. And then it just evolved into, okay, you know what? If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's do a feature. Yeah. And then moved into a web series, which we kind of are a web series, but right now it's really just structured as a TV show. We picture like prime time. We even made it a time limit of like, here's where commercial breaks would happen, that type of stuff. But that was all because actually Chris Cotto, who plays Oscar Barrett in the film, or in the series, he's been my writing partner since we were in film school. 2004, 2005. And that's actually where what would become Station 6 started, was that back then, way back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a cool story of how you get from there to here. So it's been out for how many days now on YouTube?
I think we hit 9. It was last Monday. So math.
9 days in. So what, for your expectations, how's it performing? I think when I looked today, it was at 5,400 views.
Yeah, and that's just YouTube. Facebook, last time I checked, it was about 16,000. So total, it's 22,000, which, you know what? I'm flabbergasted. Like, honestly, I thought a few people would watch it, and I thought a few people would like it, whatever. But it just the outpouring of positivity, it's like everybody got hit by mood slime and seems to like it. So you know what? We're going to try to make more. But it really just comes down to, can we get the means again? Because a lot of this was the generosity and the just willingness to work for free. Our entire cast and crew was volunteer. And I mean, like, look, it's very easy, even for by the way, all of the actors are working professionals. They're up in Hollywood. Yep. I cashed in every favor I had in the film industry to do this. Yeah. But, I mean, when you say, hey, you're going to get to wear a proton pack, it's kind of easy to get people to jump at this, so it was very
a tough
cool
sell, huh?
yeah, oh yeah, and it was very cool to watch them all own it. Every single character became something else on set, and I got to watch, like, oh my gosh, like, getting chills here. Like, I'm seeing my Ghostbusters walk out of the final battle, and it was just, I'm still just reeling, man. This whole thing's just been a dream, absolute dream.
So what's next, man? Where do we go from here?
Oh, well...
You left us on a cliffhanger here.
I know. That's more, hey, the first one's free. But the next one, we're going to try to Kickstarter. Or that's the verb I use. We will be putting it on Indiegogo.
There you go.
We're going to try to do one episode at a time. Because right now, I'm going to be real, I got 3 seasons of 10 episodes each. Plotted out. So we have the series Bible written, which is just, here are the rules. This is never mentioned in the first episode, nor will it kind of get mentioned. But like, we had to make decisions. Look, we're probably not going to get Dan Aykroyd. We're unfortunately never going to get Harold Ramis. Ernie Hudson, no spoilers, but for a quick second, almost had him to do a cameo, and then it all fell apart. And then Bill Murray, he's a freaking unicorn. He's gonna pop in if he wants to pop in, or probably not at all.
You may not be able to tell it because he will close your eyes.
Yes, exactly. Oh, there he is. No, just kidding. So we had to come up with excuses of like, well, okay, if Oscar Barrett, or rather Dana Barrett, got married to Peter after the events of the video game, after some of the comic book events, which, by the way, we consider all of that, for lack of a better term, canon. Okay. We're a part of the Ghostbusters fan film cinematic universe, which has a lot of rules governing it, because we want to be incorporated into that. But we had to make decisions on, well, why wouldn't Peter Venkman show up in his stepson's life? Well, okay, the Tunguska blast of 2009 happened. Spengler's in a coma, and Venkman watched it all happen, whatever those events were, which I would love to go into it, but probably not, because we really want to focus on the story of Station 6. But all of that happened, and it was 100 years since the Tunguska Blast of 1909. So
Right.
we just kind of put it all into perspective of Winston's in charge of the Southwest. Ray is in charge of the Northeast, kind of being in charge of New York, which that's my dad dressed as Ray in the last part of it.
Yeah, I saw that under casting. I was like, I think that's got to be his dad.
Yeah.
I saw quite a few Tomlinsons in there.
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely a family gathering.
Shout out to Dad.
Huh?
I said, shout out to Dad.
Yep,
if you're listening.
Exactly. And actually, my mom, my brother, and my wife are all in it as well.
That's awesome.
Who Ray is talking to, that's my wife. The news reporter is my mom, and the camera person is my brother, which they're all executive producers on it, because literally I could not have done this without them. And my mom used to be Disney, big, huge executive for special events.
Okay.
My brother just basically travels the country and is a G. Like, he just does all of this cool stuff. And they lent their talents to this production I had. It was so cool to watch it all happen. And then my wife has been a saint through this whole thing, because the first Proton Pack, I spent every Saturday and Sunday for 6 months trying to figure it out, because we 3D printed all of it. So, and I don't know how to 3D print, or at least I didn't. So I had to learn all of that. So it's madness, dude. Welcome to the abyss.
I love it. So, one of the things that I really liked about the show was that you brought Oscar Barrett back into this world, which he's not in the reboot. He's not really talked about after that. I've never really gotten into the comics, so you could probably tell me better than anybody. Like, is he brought back into the story?
The only thing I can think of is at one point an actor who actually wasn't planning on this, who kind of looks like Chris Cotto, comes into one of the fan films. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he comes in, says a couple of lines, and then he bounces, because it wasn't about Oscar. It was about I want to say it was either Ohio Division or something else.
Okay.
But in the comics, I can't recall he's ever been brought up. But what has happened in the comics is the reboot world and the original world have combined.
Intertwined, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm only caught up to issue 4 of the Answer the Call and the original tying together. But I'm not going to say anything in case anybody else is reading about it. But yeah, I'm not sure if it splits back up or if it's going to all integrate. But I have not seen Oscar yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting. So how did you think to bring him into your story?
Well, and that honestly, to me, was the key, because if we're going to make a film, it's got to have a good story.
Right.
And Oscar kind of brings baggage. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we get to unfurl, and kind of mentioned in the first episode of the Venkman shadow.
Yep. And
then also his dad, who, Andre Wallance is the name of the violinist, which Dana is walking out of her orchestra. That's his name in the book, the Supernatural Spectacular, so the novelization of Ghostbusters, the original. So we're gonna go with that is Oscar's dad, at least for right now. There wasn't anything really established that was him, or it wasn't, but right now in my head and in the series Bible, that violinist is the one who abandons Dana, and he's going to come into play a lot, just simply because that's going to be a part of Oscar's life that he has to deal with. Ghostbusters, to me, at least when I go watch it, like, it's not about busting ghosts. It's like normal life, a third mortgage nowadays, like people starting a business, like all this other stuff. And it's very personal. It's relationships, flirting at work, that type of stuff. Janine and Egon. Well, if you can call that flirting. But this whole thing of why the original ideas I had just were boring, even to me, was there wasn't anything that tied us to the universe of Ghostbusters. It would have just been a franchise over here and a random guy. But it was Oscar. Is that I've heard a ton of people in forums. I've been trolling forums since 1999. And actually, shout out to Ghostbusters News, Ghostbusters Universe News, Ghostbusters.net. Like, they've been super awesome through this whole thing. And those were the sites I was looking at when the first rumors of Ghostbusters 3 came out. And honestly, that's when it was like, ooh, I kind of want to hear about Oscar, but I'm going to go put that away for the filmmakers to do.
Right.
But then, that was a long time ago, developed my filmmaking skills. I've been on 7 feature films so far that I've had the chance to write and direct, and they've been distributed. But then finally I felt confident enough that we can do justice to this franchise that, like, honestly, man, like, this, it's a part of my heart. Like, it's real tough walking into there, and then the burden of it is still here of, like, oh man, I got to live up to a lot, even for myself and the fans. So that everybody on set, there was almost like, lack of a better term, a veneration for what we were doing. We were like, oh man, this is serious, let's do it. But yeah, Oscar provides that whole vehicle of personal connection to the universe, I feel, or to the Ghostbusters universe.
So, and that's really cool that you care about this so much. It's just like your passion for it is awesome, and I think that comes out in the show. But I want to talk about the surrounding characters a little bit, because I thought, Oscar's what ties it all together and connects the universe. But then you came up with these cool new characters, and I really liked them a lot. So for somebody that maybe hasn't watched the series yet, tell them a little bit about the characters and.
Sure. And I mean, it's starting off, again, like you said, tied up with Oscar. So I'll say them in kind of relation to Oscar.
Sure.
I didn't want to do the traditional, okay, there's our Venkman. Okay, there's our Spengler. There's our whatever. Yeah, sure, Specs has glasses. But I was trying my best with, let's go back. So Oscar is a mixture of Dana's very much logical and sees right through Venkman's charlatan ways.
Right.
So Oscar has that in him, but it's kind of dormant back here. All we're seeing right now at the beginning is this is Peter Venkman's flippancy, but for lack of a better term, they're perfect archetypes to me. Spengler, Stanson, Zedmore, all those guys.
Yeah.
It's Stance's little bit of that wonder, the childlike wonder, and I tried to broadcast that with the kid and handing off of the pin of, like, hey, this is the moment where we all had someone in our lives, whether it is the original Ghostbusters in the movies, kind of just step up and go like, hey, here you go. Like, you don't have to worry about the darkness. You don't have to worry about what's in your closet. You can be a Ghostbuster too. And I wanted that moment just because to Oscar's flippancy, but also caring enough about this, is Veronica Gladwell's very much by the book. Here's the procedure.
Yeah.
Oscar's running around over here, jumping around, while Gladwell, no, you need to take valences. What are you doing? And actually, it was only slightly mentioned, but Veronica in the film, but Gladwell was one of the very first, at least in this universe, female combat veterans on front lines combat in United States history. So when she comes back, she wants to be a cop. That's her ultimate dream. But this takes place current day, and in California, when we were writing it about 3 years ago, there was a hiring freeze. No government employees were allowed to get hired anywhere because their budget deficit and all this other stuff. We've cleared out of that currently, but that was why Gladwell had to take a job as a Ghostbuster. Closest thing she's going to get to a cop at that point, but she's taking it seriously because she doesn't quite see a future there, but she wants to have as much honor and discipline as she can in this universe because she's kind of out of control, or like the world around her is out of control, so she's very much order, discipline. And then contrast that with Samuel Whitman, which actually, I'll say this, Sam Whitman is a real person that I know, combined with Henry Rollins, the lead singer of Black Flag, and even a line from that he says, it's Henry Rollins talking about one of his friends, but that it's a line ripped straight and from Henry Rollins' mouth put into Whitman, just because I love the old school punk stuff, but then Whitman's got this anarchist tendency, so he's kind of wide-eyed, but this is not only a love letter to Ghostbusters, but also to Orange County, which is I live here, so we kind of had to film it here. But also, I love this place. Most of these characters are people I know, but of course played up a little bit. But yeah, Samuel Whitman. Here's a little taste of what's to come. There's a reason why he's so eager to take Oscar's trap. He's got something cooking behind in the background, but I wanted to kind of also establish something in the Ghostbusters canon. He's in the Ghostbusters 2 uniform, the black one.
Yep.
It kind of comes out blue in the colors we chose, but I get it, it's black. All right, fanboys, I'm one too. I tried my best. But Whitman is a contractor. He's not technically a part of Station 6.
Okay.
He is a freelance Ghostbuster, if you will. And so I wanted to kind of look at that of Pascal doesn't want to pay all the... Oh, we'll get to Pascal in a second. Pascal's the owner of Station 6. He has a ratty ecto, which Oscar, not on screen, but in one of the Instagram posts, he calls it the Ecto POS. It's... Like, we would love the glorious Ecto 1 to pull out, and I even tried to get it, but it's like, no, you know what? In this universe, Pascal wouldn't shell that money out.
No.
He would, okay, great. That Explorer that I'm going to get for $300, great. Yeah, just put some tape on the side to block out the security phone number, but other than that, go, Barrett, shut up. It's a vehicle. But Whitman is taking parts from traps and from proton packs, and he's building his own equipment, which hopefully, I know the comics kind of got into it in the Real Ghostbusters. Proton packs were introduced because the Real Ghostbusters world merged for a second. Not merged, but they showed up in that universe. But I wanted a way to establish the Real Ghostbusters equipment. So Whitman's going to be my vehicle into that, and as well as the Extreme Ghostbusters equipment, because I love all of it. Real Ghostbusters, Extreme Ghostbusters. People knock Extreme Ghostbusters especially, but I loved it. So at some point, we're going to see also new equipment. I would love the Spengler-Holtzman special. Like, what would it look like if in that time period where the universes were merged, Spengler and Holtzman sat down and came up with something? Like, we have this 3D printer. That was most of my budget, by the way. But we had this 3D printer. Like, we have people who are willing to come up with designs. Let's see it, and let's try to establish some new stuff.
That would definitely be really interesting to see what those two cook up.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's Whitman. So anarchist, doesn't trust the system, let alone Pascal. So he's trying to hedge his bets because he thinks what he believes is the government is trying to orchestrate an epic paranormal battle. So he's got to arm civilians when everything goes dark.
I love the one part where they go to get him at his apartment, and he's just spewing out all these lines, just like, and she's like, "All right, well, I'm still gonna go get him. Are you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in. Yeah, got me in."
Oh yeah, great. That was actually one of the lines I was worried about because I've tested it on a lot of people before I put it out, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't get it," but more people now that it's out are like, "That's the best line."
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. I'll take it."
No, that's the one that I think I probably laughed the hardest at.
Okay, cool. Good. Very good. And then even in that scene is the last of the my Ghostbusters, Specs, which his full name is Michael Edwards, and you see Edwards on his uniform, but everybody calls him Specs. Again, to go back to what I was talking about earlier, I'm making fun of, like, of course there's the guy who's going to spout technobabble has a pair of glasses on, and he's invented some goober-esque way of tracking valences all across it. The franchises, and it's like, okay, it's going to be a little cliche, but I mean for it to be cliche. I tried my best to do Spengler in the sense of Spengler's he's going to do the spores, molds, and fungus thing, but he also kind of didn't cross into the cliche territory, so I took an attempt at it. But Specs' character I'm actually the most excited about, just because where is he going to go now that he's got the uniform on? He's not the best Ghostbuster, which that's why he's on admin duty. I tried to hint at that. He's had all of the training. He flunked out. but
right.
he treats the original 4 as like the Steve Jobs of this paranormal world, which his desk has all those pictures and his glasses are modeled off that 40 in times. That I need to go and credit the designer of that somewhere, because he did a great job. It looked like an actual magazine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's trying to look like that hipster version of Ray in that magazine, which I wasn't planning on. Joey Cinco is the one who plays Specs, and he owned it. Like, he owned that role. He walks up the first day and he's wearing that yellow jacket. Like, and I didn't buy that for him. He's just like, "Hey, what do you think about that?" Yes, absolutely. And he's got his hair just everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And
yeah,
he was definitely an improv master on set, but like everybody's shown. And I guess the last character to mention, Coven Man, which I don't have a name for him because I haven't found any sources on who's this random guy in Ray's Occult.
Yeah.
But so Coven Man, because my best to the Coven is what Ray says to him. But Coven Man is played by Brent Huff. He knocked it out of the park. I was just editing some behind the scenes stuff, which hopefully it'll be out next week, like a little behind the scenes featurette. Okay. But like, to hear him talking normal, but in the same voice as Coven Man, freaks me out. Like he's just got this booming voice that is gonna be up like real down here, but he's talking about, "Oh wow, that was a really good taco we had at lunch." Like, well, okay, that's kind of freaking me out. How about you go back to your like, "Oh, the old gods will rise again," or something like that. That's a little bit more into. But yeah, again, all the actors are industry professionals. Pascal was played by Kelly.
I was gonna say, we have to talk about Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal.
So cheap.
Man, he was
5 for
another
5.
one of those. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say 5 for 5 on the flashlights. He's very cheap.
Yes. Yeah, they all own their roles. Pascal holds a place in my heart because I was trying to. All I told him was this: his background is he's also ex-military, just like Gladwell, but he kind of took it as he let it identify himself, rather than Gladwell, who's, I'm going to take the principles, but I'm still going to be myself. So it's all up there, but he's had several failed businesses because he just runs them into the ground, takes the money, and goes to the next one. And he found out that, and this is all the stuff I'm telling Kelly in a phone call, actually outside of the local islands, when he called me. He works for Nickelodeon. He's on a show right now. All of these businesses, he found out that there's less regulation in Ghostbusters than there is in ambulance companies, which is most of the companies he started. So that's why he chose Ghostbusters as, okay, great, I don't have to pay as much taxes. All right, great. And that was his whole reason into getting into it, which is why he's never in the field, why he originally in the script, which we, again, no budget, only budget, proton packs, and food. That was about it. But originally, when he gets slimed, he was supposed to shoot a giant thing out of the sky and have it crash and all this other stuff. But just to show, like, he's inept. He has not used the equipment. He's not a Ghostbuster at all. But he's also the one who benched Specs, which is why Oscar has such a place in his heart for Specs, and to kind of just give a moment of humanness, because Venkman, and I wanted to try and tap into it a little bit with Oscar, of like, they're jerks. Like, they're jerks a lot of the time, or they're just, Oscar's more self-centered than Venkman's just chase and tail. Like, supernatural, I'm going to use it to chase tail. Oh, great, a business? Okay, great, I'm going to use that even more so to chase tail. So, Oscar's not so much the bloodhound, he's into himself. Like, he's completely and utterly focused on himself.
Right.
Which we will reveal is also a result of Vigo's possession of him at such a young age. Mm-hmm. So that is season 1. We're going to be getting into all of that, of what is the result of being 1.5 and being possessed by a Moldavian tyrant. It in essence stripped Oscar of his will. And if you notice, Oscar never actually makes a decision on his own. He allows circumstances to make the decision for him. So Pascal and him are getting in a fight. Okay, yes, he quits, but it was because Pascal pushed him that way. Oscar does not have the volition in him to make that decision on his own. He has to have circumstances push him. And that's going to come into play. I can't say any spoilers.
So, yeah, that's exciting that you have so many episodes already written and just ready to go. Now we need to get some funding here. So when does that start? Like, when do we start this? How do we help?
Well, it's more this. Locally, there's just been such a positive outpouring, not only from Ghostbuster fans, but I'm speaking at local colleges, local high schools, of just the independent film world has heard about this, the fact that we've shot it all locally. And actually, one of my other jobs is I'm a college professor at the local community college, and then also a 4-year university over here. But like, they're hearing about it, and then they're seeing how many views are happening, and there's like, hey, can you just come talk? And so, yeah, sure, absolutely. So it's, again, just the positivity, the outpouring, the, hey, next time you roll out, can I help? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when we make that call out, that's why, like, I haven't had a moment. You and I were going to try to record this last week. Yeah. Leading up to the Monday release, I had 5 hours of sleep in 48 hours because we had the premiere Sunday, which was the version you saw, the very first version. It was like version 4, and that was going to be the early screener. We actually had some troubles getting version 5 to play in the projector for the premiere, and so I'm just freaking out, all of that stuff. But version 6 is actually what was released, and I just stayed up all night. I edited it here at my office at my day job, and I fell asleep in the chair at 6 a.m. accidentally. I didn't mean to. Like, all of a sudden, like, all I remember is like sitting in my chair looking outside and going, crap, the sun's rising, and then it's 8 o'clock, and like, I'm looking, the export's still going, it's fine, great, but we were actually 14 minutes late I wanted to post at 9 a.m., but 14 minutes late. I gave it a really quick watch through just to make sure everything was good. But like version 4 you saw, there was missing some music cues. It was, again, I haven't slept much, but I'm okay now. But yeah, once all of this positivity stops, or I hope it keeps going, but like all of the speaking gigs and that stuff stops, I really need to get the Indiegogo going, because I would love. Here is my plan. We're gonna fund one episode. Okay. But the script writing process for the entire season is going to be January through June, and then so that first episode, or if we hit it, if we get the first episode full funded and have as much extra as we have, we will film this summer and get as much done as we can. But yeah, I would even love to have the whole first season shot this summer. But then at that point, we would do a beveled release and get as close to Halloween as we can, of course. But if we were starting to film in June, I'd hope to wrap by August completely, and then have all of the episodes out by December. So not a weekly release, but probably bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. Okay. Because the hardest, most difficult thing, CGI. And the proton streams. So those proton streams, I don't know After Effects. Do not know After Effects, which is what we use. Because also the goal is everything we tried to do, special effects wise, I tried to make it as user friendly and free as possible. So that this is the goal. I want to try and get just a gigantic library that if anybody else wants to make Ghostbusters films, here's the proton stream, and here's a guide on how to use it. Free, take it. I put in the work so you don't have to. Here's the 14 ways we have the proton pack turning on. You don't have to go find them. I did. Here you go. Like, go for it. So we're trying to get that infrastructure to figure out, like, what's the most likely thing. A Dropbox, a website. If it's a website, we'll probably get kind of axed or something like that. But So we're still trying to figure out the logistics, but that just added so much time, because it would have been a lot easier if professionals like actually went and did that proton stream instead of me. But again, if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, the streams, they turned out awesome, though. I mean, those streams...
Thank you.
I mean, I don't see much of a difference between the actual movies and what you did. I mean, it's pretty close. And
it's because if there was one special effect I would ever do, it would be the proton stream.
Right.
I've been preparing for it since I was 2. Like, literally. And
in your mind, every single time. You had your proton pack.
Yeah. And even as I'm making it, I have the ballroom scene in particular playing, and I'm doing as much as I can to make it at exactly like that, which I was kind of bummed out. Like, watching it in such detail, I'm meticulously trying to get it to be exactly out of the proton gun and trying to not make it look as sloppy as possible. Go watch closely. It's all over the place. I get jumped off the proton gun all of the time, and I'm just like, wow, kind of hurts. Like, but again, love all of it, and I get it. They had a deadline to meet, so did I. But it was very fun in the end. But these 3 gray hairs you see right here, those are the proton streams right there. But that's what we really want to also invest the budget in is. We had After Effects, and so there are so many other programs out there that are much better and can be more powerful, get this done faster, and honestly put it in the hands of the professionals of, okay, you guys go take care of that, you got this. And we have some lined up, but they all have day jobs, so I have to kind of, hey, okay, we'll pay you a little bit, but here, we'll buy the equipment you need. I can't pay you because this is a fan film, obviously, but I'll try and get your infrastructure set up, and can I buy you lunch for 14 days straight or something like that? So we want to up our game. Like, we did as best we could on the 0 budget we had, but we really want to up our game on the ghosts and up our game on the proton streams, because the Ghostbusters 2 stream is very difficult. I was watching it, but I want to achieve that. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the sound design, I was kind of trying to... Whitman's pack and Gladwell's pack are the 2 packs from Ghostbusters 2. There's kind of like a higher pitch tone to it. But I wanted those streams to look like Ghostbuster 2 streams. I just simply didn't have time. And in fact, it's because... there's a little white lights coming out, and this is way more detail than I'm sure your listeners want. But there's little white lights coming out of it, and it's tough. It's real tough to achieve in After Effects and have it look good still, you know?
Right. Okay.
So hopefully the Kickstarter will be up either this week or next week. The Indiegogo. But we'll pull out all the stops. So we'll make sure as many people as possible know. And shout out to the Ghostbusters fan film Canon Universe people. They've been absolute saints in helping me figure out, okay, what's canon? Okay, guys, like, I have rudimentary knowledge on this subject. Can somebody tell me what tenets of the Gozerian Society would have survived that we could draw out of? Because hopefully this isn't a spoiler. Hopefully. It's not. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is this is the random also knowledge that the fan film Canon Universe brings to the table. If you go in the video game, up to the voicemail, and you push it a bunch of times, you'll get a message about our friend from the Westchester Coven is heading down south, or something like that. And I'm going to try and tap into that. That's where Coven Man's from. That's the organization where Coven Man's from, which is also a sect of an overarching group where the Gozerian Society is a part of it as well. Yeah. We haven't gone into it as much, and I would love to reveal that in better ways than just here on a podcast through a microphone, so I'd love to show it as cool as possible. But we have a lot of stuff cooking, and couldn't have done it without the fan film Canon Universe.
That's awesome. So, give some of your social media accounts. Let people know how to follow you, how to support the show until we get the next funding, so we can continue recording.
Yeah, sure.
that.
So on Instagram, we are at Ghostbusters Web Series.
Yep.
On Twitter, we are at Ghostbusters Web. That's the handle.
Yep.
But if you do a search for Ghostbusters Station 6, you can also find it on Twitter.
Okay.
We're also youtube.com/c/Ghostbusters Station 6, and also Facebook. Just do facebook.com/Ghostbusters Series. And that pretty much covers it. But the Indiegogo will be the random URL generated that they give us. So, but
right.
if you follow on YouTube or on Facebook or on any of the other social media, we'll be sure to point everybody to there.
Yep.
But
and we'll
also
be blasting it out
search.
on this end too. So.
Yes. Oh yes. But also just a Google search of Ghostbusters Station 6. Most of our social media pops up, especially our YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly where we're pushing people is the YouTube. The Facebook copy is getting a lot more views. It's just, I feel for it. I had to completely crank that resolution down to fit it on Facebook. It only has like a 1.5 gig limit for a video file. And so I no, go watch it on YouTube. This is in 4K. Like, yeah, Facebook's going to do it in 4K, but it's just the bit rate. It's all off. Go to YouTube, watch it on YouTube. And even YouTube's a little bit compressed. So it's rough, but one of the perks will be we'll get you the full 12 gigabyte file of the 40-minute Ghostbusters Station 6 episode 1 and 2 when it comes out. And you got to see it in the full resolution, full bit rate, everything that we did, because we had a lot of professionals on set lovingly donating their time and making it as good looking as possible.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the actual Ghostbuster movies. Since this is the Back in Time podcast, where that's what we do is we jump into our DeLorean and we cruise back to 1984 and 1989 and we discuss the movie and we break it down scene by scene. We won't do that today, but we can at least talk about the movies and what we love about them. So, I mean, obviously, I think you're ready. Go ahead.
I love all these references, by the way.
So, I mean, it looks like you're a year younger than me. What year were you born? 86?
86, yeah.
Okay.
I actually grew up on the cartoon, and then when I got a little older, they showed me the movie.
Yeah,
so
me too.
the cartoon holds a very special place in my heart, yes.
Yeah, and that's why well, not to skip ahead, but Ghostbusters 2 is the movie that I relate to most because it's the movie that I saw in theaters.
Oh, very cool, very cool. I didn't... All right, weird story. I did not see... Well, actually, hey, Back to the Future. So I had 3 VHSs that I watched religiously. Back to the Future 1, 4. Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2. I had not seen Back to the Future 1's ending for years. Not until I was, I want to say 16.
Wow.
So it cuts off right when Doc pulls out of Marty's driveway and goes and cuts. Don't see anything else. It's because the tape ran out.
Yeah.
So my dad... That was a TV copy, so I also grew up no cussing in Back to the Future, and so when I watched the real one, I'm like, what? Yeah, exactly. But Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, I vividly remember my dad hooking up his camcorder. We went to Blockbuster, and he literally bootlegged Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. That is how I saw the movies forever. So when I finally got to see Ghostbusters 1 in theater, oh my gosh. And people laugh still. It's like we know the jokes. We've seen it 1,000 times. We're all still laugh at Louis Tully talking about Ted and Annette walking in. Like, it's just... Oh,
Rick Moranis is just brilliant. Oh. I love... Can somebody please bring him out of retirement?
The Holy Grail, man. The Holy Grail. So... I hope he still has a place in his heart for Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
At least in the interviews I see him do back in the day, he seemed to love it, and I get it. He was stepping up, being a dad, and helping raising his kids. Like, I get it. Awesome, good for you.
Yeah.
It's just I hope there's just one part of him in the back of his head like, you know what, I can do another Ghostbusters at some point. Or heck, I would love to have him just run up in the background of Station 6 of just like, hey, you got your count sheets yet? Okay, great. And then just run off. Great. Awesome. That's all. Let me shake your hand, sir, and give you a hug. Everything you've done, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
So good.
Oh yeah, all of it's good. Everything he's done.
Little Giants.
that I was spacing on the name. Oh man,
such a good movie. Ed O'Neill's great in that movie. I quote that movie because I play college football. So in football we'd have people run their 40 and like, what time we get? I don't know, son. We don't have a sundial.
Becky the Xbox O'Shea.
Yeah.
Hey, what am I doing? Yeah, just very quotable movie. I love all those like. What was that? Early 90s or late 90s?
That's like I want to say that's 94.
Okay.
94. Okay. I think he does Little Giants, The Flintstones, Big Bully, and I think that's the end of his career. It's shortly after, like 97 maybe. And then he did, Brother Bear, is that the cartoon?
He's in that.
Yeah, I think he did two movies. I think he did two of those.
Okay.
But that's it. Some voice acting. He hasn't been on screen in a long time.
Even if I just give him a call and go like, hey, can you just be on an answering machine or something? One of the Plan Film universes did that with Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
He was the general Ghostbusters answering machine voice, Ernie Hudson. And great. But let me just give you a call, say something really quick. All right, sweet, thank you. Like, great. I would love that. But yeah, I still have not seen Ghostbusters 2 in theaters. To get back to if that's what you saw in theaters, I really want to though.
30th anniversary, Fathom Events. Let's make it happen. I mean, I would assume they might. They might. Okay,
I hope so. It's just, I get it. Some people don't like it, but no, it's Ghostbusters. Like honestly, if they make a gerbil Ghostbusters movie, you have my ticket. I'm in it. So I don't care. Let's do it. Anything. Just strap the pack on someone, for Pete's sake. Don't let this franchise die.
Yeah.
That's why I'm super stoked on Stranger Things. Even just seeing, it's not Ghostbusters, but it's us.
Yeah.
How we reacted to Ghostbusters.
That's totally us. That's our generation now on a very popular Netflix show. And they're going to be running around, literally chasing down this Demogorgon, or is that the right name for it?
It was the Demogorgon last time.
Yeah, okay.
I want to say I heard they're going to call this one the Thessal Hydra, because they were dropping that in season 1 at the time.
I'm about halfway through their podcast with Chris Hardwick, and they're talking about the new. It just came out today, and they were talking about how they got into that, and that's a cool story too. How they got into Wayward Pines, and it basically got them all the experience they needed, and they went to Netflix like, we have this idea, and it's already written, and they had made it really dark. Actually, it was like rated R, where the kids are cussing a lot and there's a lot of violence, and then they're like, maybe back it down a little bit, let's make it a little bit more friendly, and then the actors came in and actresses, and they all put their own little spin on it, and what we have is a masterpiece.
It's just so good. It
is so good.
It surpassed nostalgia in the sense of, I'm not watching it to feel the past. We're watching nostalgia be created now. Like that is the key, and I love what they did. The Duffer Brothers, right?
Yep, Duffer Brothers, yeah. Twins.
Yeah, Dutch twins, and actually I work with Dutch twins, which was, when they heard that, they're like, oh, whoa, awesome. I have so many fingers in pies, but one of the other things I help out with is I help them make their movies. So cool. I'm at like 3 different independent studios all rotating, one of which is what we're doing for Station 6, which we call it Fortune and Glory. We want none of it, but it was because Indiana Jones. Fortune and Glory, kid. Fortune and Glory. So Chris Cotto and I, that's all the movies we produce is under that banner, is Fortune and Glory Productions.
Have you, that's really cool. Have you seen the documentary on, I think it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the kids they made like a fan-made film like way back when the movie came out, and they never finished it. So they put together this documentary, and they went back and finished it as adults.
What?
It is so cool.
What?
Yeah, I want to say it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime, one of those two. But
Okay.
if you type it in there, you'll be able to find the doc, and it's awesome. You would love it.
And that's also the other thing, the power of film. I also roll with the Orange County Ghostbusters, which is the local franchise here. They were a huge help, as well as the Southland Ghostbusters and the Hollywood Ghostbusters. But one of their kids walks up to me and goes, "I want to be a filmmaker now," and it's just like, stop, I'm good. Take me now. That right there. And it's also you roll up. We're goobs, man. We're in these uniforms. We're playing dress up. But the look in the kids' eyes, you just can't beat it. And it's the inspiring of the next generation to either for Station 6 to either be filmmakers, or that kid was also suited up with us last night at the Stranger Things Reebok shoe
That's
premiere.
so cool.
So yeah, just awesome. I love what this stuff does.
See, I'm really excited about the shoes, but I wear a 15, so the chances of me getting a pair of those shoes to wear is about slim to none.
Yeah, that might have to be a custom order.
So let's talk about the movies, though. So let's start with the original. So we're June 8th, 1984. This movie comes out of nowhere. It's a massive smash hit at the box office. So they do $242 million domestically, $295 internationally. That's 84 money, people. Yeah, we put in an inflation. I did the calculator before today. $711 million worldwide gross if it came out today.
My gosh.
How massive a film is that? And the budget was what, 20 million?
Something low. Yeah. It got cut about halfway through, if I remember the commentary correctly. But they were recently dethroned as the top grossing comedy of all time. Oh, okay, recently. Yeah. To me, 3 years ago was the year 2000. That's it's never going to go away. Sorry. Right. So a couple of years ago they were dethroned. But it's I've long thought about why did it work out so well? Because think about if we did that today, if Ghostbusters never happened, and how did this all work? Because it almost doesn't work on paper. Right. You have to introduce all of this mythology. You have to keep it funny. You have to also talk about science and tech and how this is working. And they're gonna have to take a mortgage out. If I pitched that script and Ghostbusters didn't exist, I'd be laughed out of the room. But it worked. It just blew everybody away. And the fact that kids tapped into it is also not saving grace, but is such an awesome aspect of it, because it's an adult movie, not that adult movie, but it's about adult things, like starting a business and flirting at work, or what are the other things?
All the guys are flirting. I mean, Ray goes to sleep and wakes up with a ghost doing some not so PG things to him.
84 PG, it's okay.
So, I mean, it's such a good movie. I mean, what's your first memory of that movie? Is it watching it on VHS? Or is it, I'll let you talk, but I mean, what's your first memory?
Shoot, man. I was trying to think of that here because I can't quite tell if this is a memory or if I've seen VHS, camcorders of myself. And I want to say this was it was a camcorder. But I got my birthday's in June, so June '86.
Yeah.
And
what day? What day?
The 5th.
I'm the 20th, 85.
Oh, so if you say the 5th, man, come on.
You know what's funny? I went on your Instagram. You had a birthday cake for your 30th. Mine is almost identical.
Yep.
It's got all the pop culture references. I had Turtles on there, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, a Nintendo controller. It's such a cool cake. I should post it on my page. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think I posted in that one. I've had the same birthday cake for my 2nd, 5th, 10th, and 18th, and 30th 25th and 30th birthdays, and it's just of course I'm going to have that. I want a Ghostbusters cake every day, but I'll have to settle once a year.
I feel like I should have cut it in half and saved it like a wedding cake. Where you bust out like 10 years later. I should have done that with mine.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the only issue is, like, I don't want to cut it up. Like, I want this cake right now, but I also don't, like, this is sacred, man. I can't cut up the Ghostbusters symbol. But, like, so I got the pack in June of '89, and you see the little time code in the bottom corner, and the tape cuts on, like, July 12th or something.
Okay.
And then it comes back in November, and I'm wearing the pack the whole time. Comes back in November where we're camping, and I still have the pack on, and it looks like I have not taken it off in 6 months. And I guess this is the memory of just running around the neighborhood with the other kids and, like, having to build. Like, I only have one Kenner pack, but I have a Super Soaker and a backpack and some tubing, and so, like, having to build and egon this up, and there's a verb for you. But like, get this for the neighbors who want to play Ghostbusters with me.
Right.
So I'd say probably that is playing in the yard.
That's so funny. My 4-year-old will do that now, where he has his proton pack from the new movie. I have like a 1/18 scale. Actually, it's right next to me. Check this bad boy out.
Awesome.
This is my pack until I can afford to get a bigger one.
There you go.
It does light up. Here we go.
Wait, what? Where'd you get this?
See the little lights?
What?
I bought it off of eBay for $50.
Is it custom?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
So yeah, that's my tiny little proton pack, and I'll run around with that thing. I'm like, ha ha.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he'll do the same thing. He'll grab his backpack and he'll grab his little Nerf gun, and he's like, let's go bust some ghosts. I'm like, dude, get your pack. Nope, this is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I remember actually, I took a children's television class in college, and they brought up Real Ghostbusters specifically.
Yeah.
And it was a child psychologist talking about how, I think her name was, I can't remember names of actors that I totally admire right here, right now, but I can remember Darshna Lemon. Oh crap, maybe I can't. But she was talking about how psychologically, like, think about, this is the impact Ghostbusters had. You played cops and robbers. So you guys are the bad guys, and you guys are the good guys. So cops go catch the robbers. Ghostbusters, it was, no. Everybody work together, and we're going to go get those ghosts. It was one of the first playground, non-competitive activities that brought people together. And it was awesome to talk about. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in getting into other films, you can almost tell, like, this generation of filmmakers, J.J. Abrams, Joss Whedon, like, all these guys who would have grown up on the afternoon specials where the solution was always together.
Yep.
Yeah. And so now, like, look at that. Avengers, what's the whole point of it? Together. We're all completely different, but we must come together to take care of this threat. Star Trek, same thing. So it's like, oh man, what if it was Ghostbusters that completely set off all of this? And I'm even, what was that Say No campaign where Slimer showed up and there was a Ninja Turtle and there was like a hazy smoke?
I totally remember what you're talking about. Oh my gosh.
Star Rescue. I have no idea how I'm remembering that.
That's awesome.
But like that was the other thing of just like, no, all these characters come together and we're going to say no to drugs. Like, that was what we grew up on. And here we are. That's the message we're still telling in our films and in our storytelling and all that. Love it.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, my first memory is like identical. It's really? Running around with that Kenner proton pack on, all around my neighborhood. I know that I have home videos of me running around. It's on my backpack, or I have, like, the Ninja Turtle outfit on. It's one of those two things, Turtles and Ghostbusters. And it's the same memory, and that has to be the same thing for like millions of kids our age that have grown up on the same thing.
And that's what stoked me on the new movie. And I mean, all right, another story. Sorry, I always get sidetracked. We need to talk about Ghostbusters. But this was beautiful, and I'm going to try not to get misty-eyed.
Okay.
We're at a kid's birthday party for Orange County Ghostbusters, and he's 3, turning 4, and it's like, all right, next generation, let's do this. And we had someone dressed as Holtzman with the 2016 pack, I mean, all the dudes are all in the original, and we have the Prax and the 84 Pax and the Slime Blower. Oh no, we didn't have the Slime Blower yet. But these two little girls walk up to Holtzman and go, "You mean girls can be Ghostbusters too?" And it's just like I have to walk away. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just watched it happen. I watched the lights come on for two little girls who are like, yes, of course you can. Yes. And it's whatever you have to say about the movie, it's got the next generation going. Great. All right, give me the gerbils one. We're going to get gerbils in on this train. Like, honestly, it's the message is universal that is coming from this thing. And it's not only that. It's not about busting ghosts. It's the thing that at least I feel kids latched onto it so much. It's not the fact that there are ghosts and that busting them is what this Ghostbusters world is about. It's that you can bust them.
Yes.
This equipment, you can go make it in your garage. Winston had no prior training. He's not some special person. He just answered a help wanted ad.
As long as it's a steady paycheck, I'm in.
And that's his. I love Winston, by the way. Spengler's my favorite. Zedmore's my very close second. But it's that an entire generation, us, grew up finally not being afraid of the closet. I'm pointing at my closet. Sorry, I just realized nobody else is seeing what I'm doing. We're not afraid of the closet anymore. We're not afraid of what's under our bed because we're Ghostbusters. Yeah. And now we've had 30 years, 34 years? No. 84 math. Decades.
33.
Decades where they haven't had that. And honestly, let's get real personal here. The day Harold Ramis died, like I'm in my I found out the worst way possible. Somebody like shouts it across a bunch of cubicles of like, "Chris, did you hear Harold Ramis died?" That's how I found out Harold Ramis died. And just like ripped my heart out. And I had a cubicle and I had an office, so over in the studio area, and so I had to walk to the studio, and my wife finds me curled in a ball in my thinking chair just weeping. And it's of course like a great passed away, but then I also just realized like, who's this was before 2016 came out. Who's the Spengler for kids these days? Who's the Venkman? Who are these heroes that they get to look up to that like are fighting the darkness? Not aliens, not whatever, like what these malevolent creatures that kids believe in. It doesn't matter how many times you say no, it's not real. It's real to them. So who do they have? And that's ultimately why I got misty-eyed and was weeping that day. But it's now they have Gilbert, Holtzman, Tolan. Oh crap, what's Abby's last name? I'm totally spacing.
Gardner?
Abby Gardner? No, that sounds like an actress.
No, that's not right. Jeez.
Melissa McCarthy's character. Is it Abby Yates?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Yates. Yeah, great. But like now they have them, and now instead of like I just had another vivid memory of like, okay, the girl on the street. Okay, you're Janine, and at that point, I hadn't seen the one where Janine suits up and is the Ghostbuster too. So it's like, okay, you're the secretary. Now it's no, suit up. Like you guys, there's your role models. Go, like join up, like whatever it takes. So, okay, now Ghostbusters. Better Ghostbusters. We haven't even gotten to Ghostbusters 2, and it's like what, an hour and a half?
Yeah, we're
an hour in.
We're an hour in, yeah. So we're cruising along, but yeah, let's talk a little Ghostbusters 2. So it takes them 5 years for the sequel. You probably remember better than I do. Why did it take 5 years? What was the holdup here?
Oh gosh!
With inflation, you make $711 million. Like somebody has to be like screaming at the top of the mountain, "Do the sequel! What are we doing here?" Like,
I'm surprised not the whole world wasn't screaming it. I don't have a good answer for you, man. I have conjecture.
Sure.
People say Bill Murray,
okay.
And okay, I can get that. But honestly, when it comes to working for big studios, I've seen producers mess things up more than I've ever seen directors and actors.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, I think, and you even see this symptom today, of like you get this smash hit of a box office breaker or a blockbuster, awesome, everybody loves it, and then the sequel comes out and it's like, whoa, okay. And at least in my experience, more often than not, it's the first one, you give all of this creative control to a director, whatever happens, because you're like, okay, yeah, go do your ghost movie, whatever. I'm going to go over here. And then you have a hit, and you go, well, I was the producer, even though they're at their house in the Hamptons, and they were going to Bermuda and all that other stuff. So now they have to mingle, or they have to interfere and get their fingers into it.
Yeah,
it's like...
It's an interesting point what you bring up, because next week on the podcast, we are doing Wayne's World from 1992.
Nice.
So doing a lot of backstory and listening to special features, that movie's a massive smash hit for them. They have a $20 million budget. It does over $100 million. For a comedy, which is based off of a small sketch, which wasn't super popular, with a guy that stars in the movie that's never been in a movie, Mike Myers. Yep. It makes $100 million. They start rushing out the sequel. Well, the person that had put all the heart into it is the director, Penelope Spheris. And she clashes with Mike Myers on the filming, and he pushes her out. And then they go with a new director, and they push out the sequel as quick as they can. And I mean, I don't know when the last time you saw Wayne's World 2, but it's not for a long time. It's not as good.
Hold up, is that the one? I'm getting them blurred right now. Which is the one where they mentioned Jurassic Park? Does that happen in the second one?
I believe that's 2. I believe it's 2, because that would have been 93, and that's when the movie comes out. Number 1, they have a couple really cool Terminator references in there.
Okay.
Which I just found out today. The second one I'd never realized. The first one's obvious because it's I forget the actor's name. It's the T-1000. He pulls him over and they're in the car. Yeah. But the second one is Garth, and he's building this mechanical hand, and he has Rob Lowe sitting next to him, and it starts to move, and he hits it with a hammer. That was supposed to be him building a T-100 to kill him.
Oh my gosh.
Because he doesn't like him.
Dang.
So, yeah, it's a bummer that they kind of missed the boat on that one, but I mean, there's so many sequels. We could go on and on and on about movies that were big hits, and then the sequel lets you down. I don't feel like Ghostbusters 2 let me down, though.
No, not me either.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is, because I love the cartoon so much, I would have loved to have seen a continuation of the cartoon, just because it's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Season 1, Season 2, a little bit of 3, and then, like, towards the end, like, If I Were a Witch Man episode, and Flip Side, and I forget what season exactly that is, but, like, that, I would... It's this. Ghostbusters 2 is still up there for me.
Yeah.
It's that there's some real Ghostbusters episodes in between Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. But, like, yeah, okay, great. I've heard the argument, well, it's not as good as the first one. It's like, it's not supposed to be compared.
Right.
I guess you could, but... No, it's a whole new story. Like, we're gonna go. I want to know more about Positively Charged Slime. Vigo is an awesome villain. Peter McNichol knocks it out of the park. What's not to love about it?
Yeah, Vigo is such a great bad guy in that movie. When he comes,
I want to bring him back.
When he comes out of the painting and he steps out that first time, and he's kind of a little bit out of focus, and then he starts coming into focus. Like, as a kid, I was like, let me hide under this blanket.
Yeah.
I've got my proton pack probably right in my hand, ready to blast him. Just watching this thing. It's such a good movie. But, I mean, box office-wise, it's almost comparable to 1984. They do 112 domestically, 215 worldwide. And the original did 295. So with inflation, they still do $436 million on the sequel.
Yeah.
So you're $1.1 billion between those two movies. So not bad.
Where's Ghostbusters 3? Yeah, sore subject. Too soon. Sorry.
We're getting there.
But, it's what Aykroyd and Ramis were doing with that story. Like, to me, at least, which is why I made Station 6. Like, it's just so expansive, and I liked... Did you play the video game?
Oh, I have it on my classic NES right now.
Oh,
I found a way to...
the Xbox.
Oh, the Xbox. Oh, yeah. I played that one, several times.
Yeah. Well, of course, the NES Classic. Like, did you ever beat it? That's the real question.
No, I haven't. One of the things I did, I found a way to mod it. There's all those videos on how to do that.
No Game Sharks. I mean, really, it's impossible.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to have one of my good buddies come over, and we're going to try and beat that. So that's one of our goals.
Good luck, and you might not have a friend by the end of it.
That hard, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And it actually, for like a second, I wanted to do a reference to it, because you have like ghost food, which is not in the movies at all. But I wanted to mention some like, hey, why would we create ghost food? Yeah, that's a dumb idea, or something like that, like to attract them. I don't know. But the Commodore 64 one, I remember that, and I remember Sega Genesis one as well. I never had that one. I went to a friend's house to play it. And then somebody showed me, and the Ghostbusters 2 PC game.
Yes.
With the floppy disk this big. I remember that as well.
For our younger audience, Google floppy disk. That's what we had before USBs.
It looks like a 3D printed save symbol. But the new Ghostbusters 2, which, sorry, fanboys, if I get this wrong. I think it was only available in Europe, or it was only available in Japan.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was top down, and it looked kind of like an old Zelda game, but was Ghostbusters. And it was, until the Beeline app mobile game, it was my favorite Ghostbusters game.
Okay. And that was for computer, or that was NES?
That was NES.
I think I have that downloaded too. I think I found both of them and put them both on the NES Classic. Oh,
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, if you can get your hands on it, it's a really, really fun game. What was the other thing I was going to say? But yeah, Ghostbusters 2, actually, my favorite Ghostbusting scene, the Scoleri brothers, is in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, yes, that is such a great scene.
Yes, missing Winston, I know, but I just love the aspect between them and the banter. It's not that this is their first time out, but it's them getting back together and seeing them throw the proton packs on and getting right back into the groove of things. It's like, Bustin' makes me feel good.
That entire scene is just amazing. With Tully being the lawyer, he doesn't really know what he's doing. Bankman's feeding him lines the whole time.
Love it. It's exactly what you'd think would happen.
Do we have any other questions? No, we've helped them enough, I think. And then you start to see the slime starting to bubble up, and Stance is like, "What's going on over here?"
I bet I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the actor who played Wexler, the judge, has passed. Or somebody told me he passed. I want to get,
Yeah, he was pretty elderly in that role, so.
Yeah, but before they told me that, I really wanted Specs and Oscar to get arrested, and they get put before a judge, and it's Wexler, and they're still in their uniforms, and him, nope, case dismissed, get out, and then that's it. Like, they're dismissed of all charges, and then give a nice shout out to Wexler. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Possibilities are endless.
So let's talk some new Ghostbusters. So
2016
14,
reboot, right?
Yeah, 14 months ago, we got the long-awaited sequel. Who's counting though? I mean, so it comes out. I mean, it gets pretty positive reviews. If I'm remembering correctly, it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. When did you see that first movie, or the reboot? I should say. Sorry.
The opening night. I was actually in Nashville, Tennessee, on business.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, guys, I've waited since 1989 for this day.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to go. And we all were taking company cars, or not company cars, rental cars from the hotel. And I had to I got my first Uber. And I'm like, get me to the movie theater. I have to see this opening night. Yep. And so opening night in a dingy Nashville, Tennessee, or it was in Nashville. It was Murfreesboro.
Okay.
Murfreesboro theater, and there's like 17 people in it. And like, all right, I want to be surrounded with friends and family, but this will do. And
yeah.
I guess these can be family. But yeah, opening night. Oh yeah.
So what was your first impression?
I you know what? I was entertained. I walked out of there going, I'll see this again.
Yes.
What was it? Oh crap. I went in going only knowing from the advertisements characters, but then I went in going, all right, I'm gonna love Holtzman. Like, she's gonna be my favorite, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I came out and Patty's my favorite.
I feel like going into the movie, there was a lot of hate on Patty,
and honestly, I was
because
like,
of the trailer.
You're gonna make the quote unquote Winston character the street smart whatever, and it's like, well, okay, she wasn't that. She took that role, like she made it her own. Leslie Jones knocked it out of the park, and it's like, okay, like I most amount of laughs came from Patty by far.
The power of Patty compels you.
I liked it. Exorcisms don't work that way, but all right, I'll take it. But yeah, again, if they were gerbils, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Sold. I'm gonna like.
So let me ask you this: from your initial watch to the second one to now we've got Blu-ray and all that, we can watch it whenever we want. Has your opinion changed? Because I feel like I've watched and listened to people that loved it, and then watched it again. They're like, not bad, and then the third time they're like, I don't like this movie. It's not my opinion, but I'm interested to hear yours.
No, and honestly, I it's funny you say it that way. That's what's happened. That is exactly what's happened to me.
Okay.
It's more that I went first viewing. I was like, oh dang, I like Rowan. I like Rowan as a villain just because they weren't. They went the complete opposite direction. If you really think about it, who's the villain in Ghostbusters 1? I can't put my finger on it. Like, Gozer doesn't come till the third act.
Right.
Peck is kind of midpoint, but there's no villain coming after them, or at least a single entity you can put your finger on. So here, to go the exact opposite direction, here, back to that. I argue it's the Gozerian Society, and they're showing through the architecture of New York the imposing presence of the Gozerian Society, which is why I want to tap into that as much as I can.
Good idea.
But yeah, to go the complete opposite direction of like, okay, here's somebody who most likely was bullied. Like here it is. I can get the backstory. I don't even need to hear it. We watch him be bullied present day, and he's going to get his revenge. So like, okay, you do you. You have the mantle, or you have the reins. Go for it, Paul Feig. And then I kind of, after going like, all right, I'm going to watch Ghostbusters 1, I'm going to watch Ghostbusters 2016. And it's like, oh, that's what I liked about it. It wasn't overt. It was subtle. It was like, let's bury the subtext. Let's bury as much as we can of the exposition into camera shots and all this other stuff.
Okay.
But I get it. Paul Feig's a ad-lib and improv comedy master. Bridesmaids has me rolling in the aisles.
I love Bridesmaids.
Aisles. Yeah. Bridesmaids. Spy a little bit more, not as funny, but I still like the story. But then it's I get it. You're gonna lightly edit improv comedy and make it in the edit bay. Here's what started me on my path of like, okay, liked it or excellent to like, okay, excellent, to like, all right, this is cool, to like, all right, I like it and I appreciate it, was when I turned around the Blu-ray and I saw it's something ridiculous, like 17 alternate takes, not deleted scenes, alternate takes.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, did you guys not know what you were filming when you got on set? Like, and it's like, okay, now I get it.
And then you hear Dan Aykroyd's comments later on, and it's like, that kind of lends to the special features.
Yes,
his comments.
Yes.
So,
again, my son, he's 2.5, and he will watch the 2016 one, which there's a Ghostbusters going on all the time, like whether it's the cartoon or whatever. But he'll watch he gravitates more towards the 2016 one.
Really?
But
nice.
Here's the number one you watch, the DVD menu of the Blu-ray of Ghostbusters 84. He just watches it on repeat because the music's going and the Ecto-1 in the iteration we have, or in the printing we have, is the siren starts it off, and it's like again. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Blu-ray yet for Ghostbusters, but luckily I have a new puppy, and my son has all the Ghostbusters DVDs. She chewed up Ghostbusters 1. I'm totally fine with it. I get to go buy a new Blu-ray because it was getting all scratched up. I've used it so many times. Now I have a reason to go buy it. So I'm like, oh, darn. Yeah, there's like one little scratch, but it's a tooth mark. So
why don't we get some steel case? Come on, steel case 1, 2, and reboot.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
And I mean, like again, I'm a Ghostbusters fan, so I'm gonna get this. I get the steel case Ghostbusters 84, steel case Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters reboot. I'm gonna get them all.
Yeah.
You got me. I'm a fan for life. Doesn't matter what you do.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite scene in the new movie?
The new movie, Not the firehouse dance party.
Okay.
But that off put me. I was like, because everybody's busting up, and I'm not big on watching Saturday Night Live, so I haven't been caught up on any of what Kate McKinnon's doing or Aaron Gilbert. Oh crap, Kristen Wiig. Yeah. So I thought it was an inside joke, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, inside joke. But then I found out, no, it's not. It was just safety regulations were thrown out the window, and it's like, oh, Spengler would be rolling right now. Like, what is going on? But Patty at the first bust. That's what I'm thinking of right now. And honestly, I was touched by the end scene of the jump into the portal and and Aaron's character development. I was touched by that because it's. I read Ghosts of Our Past before the movie came out because I wanted to get as much as I can. I know we were talking about how spoilers, and I'm trying to stay away from Stranger Things, but like it's Ghostbusters. I want to know as much as I can. Give it to me. And I had actually heard the Have Some podcast interview with Andrew Schaefer.
Guys. Yeah,
and just how much work he put in researching it. I'm like, okay, absolutely, I'm going to read this book. But that character development really hit me because it's just more of like all the friends that I grew up with that kind of like we play Ghostbusters. It's not that like, oh yeah, come and dress up with me. It's like we don't even talk about any of those matters anymore. Like it's like, oh no, hey, so you make those sales or you whatever. It's like, guys, this is boring. Like why don't we go do something else? But to see that dynamic solve itself in Ghostbusters of somebody who wants to be accepted apart from who she is, rather than Abby who just jumps in head first. She believes it with all of her heart, and to see them come together in the end, that was cool. And the testing of the equipment, that's something missing from the original. Of like I want to see that. There's even a production still of Harold Ramis with a battery tester on the track, and it's like, what's that? Like I want to see more of that. And it Ghostbusters is a very tightly edited and scripted movie, so I get it. You can't take that time to do that, but I did like it and appreciated it in this one.
Do you know how much money that would make if Ivan Reitman was like, I never thought about putting this together, but I have all this testing footage of them. We'd be like, what? Oh my gosh! Put it back in theaters, please. Extend
anything. Just give it to me. You're also talking to the guy who, when the alternate take footage of them outside the firehouse for the commercial, when that alternate take footage came out, I tried to splice it all together into a HD version of the commercial that I could play for Halloween and have it on. I deck out the Suburban I have into the Ecto-1, and I'll have a TV on its side and have the Ghostbusters commercial going. So it's like, awesome. Hey, anything. Give me any of the old footage. I will take it, and I will do whatever I can with it.
And this is my favorite scene. I think you'll probably agree that you loved it. The opening scene with the tour guide, Garrett. Zach Woods.
I forgot.
Did he not set the tone for that movie, or what? Because I feel like that moment where he's hanging on, and we get the dun, 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 and you're just like, oh my gosh, yes.
Almost
finally.
Yeah. Almost stand up in the theater and beat my chest of just like, yeah.
Yep.
It was the Rogue One moment of like, the Rebel fleet comes out of hyperspace and I haven't seen this since the Battle of Endor, like in a theater. Like, I definitely had that moment in there. But again, I was in a room of complete strangers, so yeah, I was sitting in my seat beating my chest. But yeah, they definitely did a good job. What'd
you think of Chris Hemsworth?
All right, people will hate me. He stole the show. Like, he absolutely knocked it out of the park.
I think he stole the show except for one scene. I don't like the ending with the sandwich. I could have done without the sandwich.
What was that?
You know, it's misplaced, and it's right after a really serious part of the movie. They just jump down this hole. They come out with white hair. You're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then he's like, sandwich me. Like, what? Too much improv, Paul. Please.
That right there. I almost feel like here was, and this is another realization of, like, I get it. Bill Murray, and I'm pretty sure I heard this in an interview. He had like 2 lines that were actually in the script. Everything else was just him owning Peter Venkman, and that works when everybody else sticks to the script. Mm-hmm. Here, it felt like, okay, you're going off now. Oh, okay, I'm going to vibe with you. And it's like, oh, no. Somebody needs to ground the tension. If somebody's going to be wacky, you need to have the quote-unquote straight man character who's going to ground the scene. At some point, everybody was wacky. And that of Ghostbusters was just so... The original was just so tight. And I hate comparing the two. They're two... It's just like comparing Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. It's different. The story they were trying to tell knocked it out of the park. Was I entertained? Yes. Yep. Was it a Ghostbusters movie? Absolutely. I'm in. And if they do answer the call too, guess who's going to be their opening night? Yep. I will, and I'll be in costume. I got the first pack done by opening night, and then but it was already done, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in Tennessee. There's no way I'm flying this thing and getting past security and any of that stuff. So, like, dang it. Waited however many years to finally have a proton pack, and I don't get to be there opening night. Oh, well.
I'm curious to see where they take it. I don't think Paul Feig will be back. If they do a sequel, it'd be, I don't know. Just judging by the recent comments by Aykroyd and with Reitman, I would be surprised if he's back because I feel like they still have a lot of pull with that franchise.
Oh, yeah.
So I think if anything happens again, it would be like almost another reboot, which, how do you feel about that? If they're going to reboot again, if we want to compare some franchises, Spider-Man's done that successfully. Twice.
Very successfully.
Yeah, 3 times in the last 20 years they've rebooted that franchise. And each of them have been hits.
I'm torn. I want to see where they can go, honestly. Yeah. And no, it's not like, I want to see them go fight Gozer. It's no, I want to see these characters come into their own. Like, they did to an extent, but it was like, okay, now that they're the team, what is their Ghostbusters 2 going to look like? I want to see that. Because if they reboot it, then we're never going to get Ghostbusters 3. I've come to terms with that. I'm out of my denial phase. I guess it is denial. We're never going to get Ghostbusters 3.
Why can't we have it, though? Let's take the beginning of Ghostbusters 2. It's Winston and it's Stantz. And they're doing the birthday party scene. And they're together, and the other 2 guys are not in it because, Venkman's off doing his own talk show. Spengler's got a lab. Why can't we have these 2 guys? They're still here. They're still healthy. Let's get some new Ghostbusters in. Just say Venkman's not interested. You can do some backstory with Spengler if you want to tie the loose end. And let's do Ghostbusters Goes to Hell. Let's bring out the script.
I'll make you a deal, Sony. I've taken care of all those answers for you. Venkman in Russia, Spengler's in a coma in Russia. They're taking care of each other, and then that puts Stantz and Zedmore right here. And you can have, and guess what? They're willing. They were at the Stranger Things thing last night.
They could not be more willing. Those two guys would do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Without even a script. I feel like. Yep, we're in.
Yes. And I was very intrigued by, oh my gosh. You'll probably correct me if I'm wrong. Was it the Russo brothers with a Gene Stupinski and Lee Eisenberg script? And the rumor was Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt.
You could be wrong on the casting, but you've got the writers correct because they were the Office guys.
Yes.
The Office writers.
And, did you ever read the Max Landis, John Landis' son's, not pitch, it was like a 17-page treatment for Ghostbusters 3?
No. That sounds interesting.
I'll email it to you. Dude, make that. There's Ghostbusters 3. Absolutely.
I just don't know why they wouldn't do it. It just doesn't... Just make the movie. You're going to make your money back. You're not going to lose the money.
Yes. It's nothing short of a miracle getting a movie made.
Right.
And, Hollywood, I have no idea how they're doing. I have no idea how a single good movie has been made, ever. It's just so many wheels turning, so many components that could go wrong, and they do it. Every time. I just can't see how a Ghostbusters film can fail. You really get, you'd have to try to get it to fail. And I mean fail in the sense of a good story. How do you not have a good story in this universe? It's a crazy, dark, while still keeping the brevity through comedy in it. It's just perfect. It will work. Mm-hmm. But then at the box office, should it work? Absolutely. But that's the other thing. Things work well on paper.
Okay.
The execution of said things is a whole completely different bear. So,
you know what we need is we need our Chris Nolan to come into this franchise, and
we love us,
and just take it over. He's got the record where he can go. I've done this and this. It's been really successful. I have my own idea, and I'm going to take it this direction, and just let the man go.
Nobody else touch it. Just go.
Right.
You, Christopher Nolan, you got this.
Mm-hmm.
We trust you. In Nolan, we trust. But think of that. I don't want Ghostbusters 3. I want 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Exactly.
And I want the anthology, and whatever they're calling. What was Rogue One? Star Wars story.
Yeah.
It's not sequels. It's offshoots.
Yeah.
I want. I hate Quentin Tarantino. I want a Quentin Tarantino in the Ghostbusters universe. I want a Nolan with 3 films for a Ghostbusters trilogy. Just go. Let them have the property and let them go do something. I'll be real honest. I'm currently not interested in the idea of seeing it from the Ghost's perspective.
Okay. Yeah,
I am interested. That's what Ivan Reitman's been talking about lately.
Oof.
I am interested if it's setting up for. Oh crap! All right, I won't say certain things.
Okay.
If it's setting this up, if that's how they're going to explain why Egon's not here.
Okay.
Is Egon from the other side trying to get a message back across of what's coming, and is he going to help? There, yeah, exactly. That face right there.
To steal a Back to the Future line, that's heavy.
There you go. Back in Time podcast. Copyright 2017. That. I'm interested in that.
Yes.
I'm Ecto Force. I was like, okay, great, do it. But I want it all to be a setup for something else. I guess if you want to say it, yes, I do want a Ghostbusters 3, but it still hurts. Right?
Yeah.
Right here of hearing it in 1998 and here it is 2017. It's just an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I love what you said that I think I could speak for any Ghostbusters fan. We don't just want another one. We want another 3, 4, 5, 6. Just keep them coming. We're still young, baby. Just give it to us.
And I mean, I don't know, because to me, this is what was so subversive about the original movies, is this idea of that traditional story, which even H.P. Lovecraft has a story called the Dunwich Horror, where it's three professors, and I believe in anthropology though, who study pagan, occultic, like all that other stuff, but they study it. They don't believe it. They just happen to know that. And so then when all this paranormal stuff starts happening, they're the ones the town goes to, and they have to rise up and go defeat this thing. Sound familiar? But that story, it's we have to go find this ancient power that is the same substance of the bad guy, and that's how we're going to defeat it. Ghostbusters, we're going to show this prehistoric bitch how to do things downtown, and we're going to pop it. Here's, I got the atom, baby. You aren't going to freaking tell me what to do anymore. Babylonian, Sumerian, not Babylonian. Yeah. This Sumerian deity thinks it's going to walk all over us like it used to. No way. We're in charge of our destiny now. That message, it's that technology supersedes superstition, and that's awesome. However, you can't ride that forever because they already did that, or they've already kind of emphasized that, which is, somebody just asked me if I were to ever, or which one of the Real Ghostbusters episodes would I want to be a movie, or at least adapted into a live action thing. And if I were a witch man, where Egon finds out he's got a whole history of like witches in his background, who they had primitive containment units. And it's like, that's one of my favorite episodes, but if I really look at it, it's not technology defeating ghosts this time. It's, we're going to pop this orb up, and here we go. The ancient ways are what's going to rescue us here. It's this. Is it still Ghostbusters? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. Okay. Is it still Ghostbusters if we make that the solution? Is the ancient ways are the way we take these things out? But I also kind of want to see that. I kind of want to see someone go, the proton packs failed, which we see that. Gozer just kind of dissipates. Ego takes it, and then shoots back. So what's the solution there? Yeah, we had the slime blowers, and that was kind of a, okay, yes, we're going to solve it with this machine we happened to come up with, and we've never tested it before, but hey, it worked. But great, that's Ghostbusters. It's, hey, we made this in the garage the night before. Love it. Right. But, I don't know, I'm torn. Yes, I would love all of those sequels, but where are you going to go with it? That's the real question. But, give me more.
Yeah, I think that's the overall theme, is give me more. Yes. I got a couple more things. We have to talk about Ghostheads. What did you think about the doc? Yeah. Because they very clever by Netflix. They put it out the weekend of the movie release. And I just happened to be going through Netflix one day, and it popped up, and I was like, Ghostheads. Play. And I just sat there and watched this whole thing. And I had no idea that there was this giant ghost head community. And
I didn't know it was that big either. I knew it was
there. I had no idea, because I'm not somebody that had ever been to a con. I actually went to my first one 3 weeks ago, and met Corey Feldman, super cool guy.
Yo, hey,
he said
that guy right now.
He did this and said, "God bless you," and that was it. But he was.
Hey man, he's a vampire hunter. You better accept that blessing.
Man, I love Lost Boys, Frog Brothers.
Yes, please.
Solidarity. But yeah, I mean, it was it's an interesting documentary. I love that it follows Tom Gebhardt is kind of the one that they follow throughout. It's so much heart. But what did you think of the doc?
I was just amazed it was this big. I knew it. I've been trolling the forums since I was 11 and 12 years old, printing off proton pack parts, or the papers that. Oh man, the names are spacing me, but they're kings among all of this, and I just saw okay, there's got to be 40 of these guys all around the world, but they all hang out here, and it's no way.
No,
they're everywhere.
Every state, multiple groups in some states, and
they had a tough job. That documentary of making a murderer in Oh crap!
Don't even get me started on Making a Murder. We'll go for 4 hours,
that's
dude.
All the podcast. But like the 13th, they're like those are majorly well done, and then here it is. It's like, well, okay, you're gonna do a story about a bunch of fanboys that like, and do people care about them? And honestly, I walked away going, wow, they did it.
Yeah.
I care, and I think it was just showing, like Tom's got a day job. Like Tom is. Right, and there were some clips with Peter Mosen too.
Yep.
What did Dan Aykroyd, the king of all ghost heads?
Yeah, the king of the ghost heads.
King of the ghost heads. Yeah.
Nice cameo in the sequel, by the way, for Peter Mosen.
In the restaurant.
Yep.
If he was in better health, I was gonna hopefully get him out here for. You see, there was just a few Ghostbusters walking around at the end there in Station 6.
Bring in Tom, man. Tom's got a little following now because of Ghost Heads. Gevhart.
There you go. And I mean, like,
good.
This is a pipe dream. We got Louisiana Ghostbusters working on an episode right now. We got Italian Ghostbusters with Real, a Ghostbusters tale. I would even love for Ghostbusters a web series in Atlanta at some point, man. Let's do Avengers. Like, you are doing these things. I've now established in the canon Vigo's back. We need help. Yeah. Everybody come here. We got to stop it and do it out in Southern California's beautiful San Fernando Valley. So that is cooking, but it's like it could work. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think for me the documentary almost like relit the flame. Like, I watch it every year. It's something I'd watch probably 3 or 4 times a year, both the first one, the second one, and the new one's coming out. I'm starting to get interested. I watch this documentary, and I'm just like, wait, I can buy Proton packs? I can go dress up and be a Ghostbuster myself? There's groups? Like, It's just like, the next week was me on eBay. I bought that little pack. I got my son one. I just bought 2 new shirts. I mean, it was just like...
Do you have a spirit pack yet?
Not yet. It's been sold out around here. So yesterday I hunted down the new Playbill, or is it the Firehouse?
Playmobil, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep, I hunted that down at Toys R Us yesterday. So that's Christmas present coming for the kiddo. So
yeah, the kiddo, sure. But like honestly, like that spirit pack, man, holy.
If you want a cheap alternative, that thing's solid.
Yeah. And last night I was seeing some people who've modded it already, and it's put it up against mine, man. It's just smaller. Like, that's it. And I mean, you can kind of see the speaker, but that's it. Like it looks awesome. And they painted it. They got the authentic parts, just like I do on mine, and that's it. Like great for $70, you can't beat it. Cannot beat it.
Yeah, I have to get one of those.
Yeah,
it's going to be on eBay for like $300 in a month if I don't find one.
Yeah, don't. That's despicable. Like I'm seeing them up there for $500, and it's just like, come on, scalpers.
They did the same thing with the NES Classic. Do you see how expensive those things were? They're in the store for like $60. People were selling them online for like $700.
I don't want to talk about Nintendo right now because of the NES Classic. Just like okay, I get it. That's your business model. We're gonna make it scarce so that then the demand's gonna be up and whatever. But it's like, even the Super Nintendo Classic, I went to all the local stores. Oh no, like they were gone 45 minutes in. And it's like, I work. This is my lunch break. I can't do this.
Yeah, it took me months to get mine. Months.
Really?
And I had to like figure out the delivery schedule of where it would be dropped off. And finally I called one day. They're like, we have 3. I'm like, I'll be there in 4 minutes.
Yeah. Awesome. But, yeah, that documentary, and I'd say this, like, all the vitriol that was happening, the movie wasn't even out yet, 2016.
Yeah.
Of just, how mean, like, we were looking, Ghostbusters fans were looking, and I was just so bummed. Like that, to me, when I go hang out with these local franchises, when we go to hospital visits and kid birthday parties, like, that's not what Ghostbusters fandom is about. And that movie kind of showed, like, okay, that's what it's about. I can finally point back to, no, here it is. This is what it's about. Even last night, like, popping out my PKE meter and handing it to some kid and go like, all right, you got patrol, man. I need to go get some food. And like his eyes, huge. And it's little things like that. I'm just like, hey, passing it on.
Yeah.
And they really captured it in, not Cleaning Up the Town. Ghostheads. Cleaning Up the Town. Can't wait for Cleaning Up the Town.
Yeah, is there another one coming out?
It was kickstarted a year ago.
I feel like I've watched that. I feel like I've watched the trailer for it.
Yep. Yeah, they got basically almost every single person who's living that they could get their hands on, and they're interviewing them. It looks awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, so shout out to Brandon Mertens, who directed Ghostheads, and Tommy Avalone, who helped out with it from I Am Santa Claus, which I love that doc too. He's got another one coming out with Bill Murray stories. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No. What?
I just turned you on to that? Oh, that makes me happy. So he's a massive Ghostbusters fan. That's how he got into Ghostheads. Is he has like the tattoos and stuff, and he has a new documentary, and it's just going around to all these places that Bill Murray has visited, and they're retelling like all the crazy stories about where he's popped up.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And he just moved out to California. You should totally hook up with him.
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely. That concept, because I know all of those apocryphal stories of like somebody walking in Central Park, and then like Bill Murray taps the shoulder, honks his nose, and goes, "No one will ever believe you," and then Bill Murray just like prances off. And it's just like, I do believe it. Like, I believe in Bill Murray. Like, that would be something he'd do. But what's real, what's not, I would love that. That's a great subject. Wow. I'm impressed.
So, I think that's it. We've been going for an hour and 50 minutes. And I think we've covered a lot of really cool stuff. So, again, for all the listeners, make sure, first off, subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for hitting the download button on this episode. Thank you, Chris, for lending some of your time and your Ghostbusters knowledge. I love it. Make sure you guys check him out. Instagram, Ghostbusters Web Series. Twitter, Ghostbusters, @GhostbustersWeb. Facebook, Ghostbusters Station 6. And as he said, make sure you go to YouTube. Get the higher resolution. Watch that one, not the Facebook video. And that'll wrap it. But I'd love to have you back on, dude. When we break down Ghostbusters in detail, we need an expert.
Let me know. All this useless knowledge finally getting to go somewhere.
Awesome, man. So